The chamber went silent as the alien warlord's words echoed across the hall. "Humanity has two choices," he hissed, his voice vibrating through the floor. "Submit, or we will bring the war to your homeworld." Every representative from Earth froze, hearts pounding, breaths held. Then, from the very back of the chamber, a human officer leaned forward, his voice steady and cold. "You won't bring the war to us," he said. "We'll bring the war to you." The line landed like thunder, shocking allies and enemies alike. The warlords snarled, diplomats shouted, translators stammered, but it was too late. That single sentence had already changed everything. The galaxy would never forget it, and neither would humanity. The man who spoke those words was Captain Marcus Hale, a soldier notorious for his sharp tongue and reckless courage. He was not polished, not diplomatic, and definitely not authorized to speak for Earth's council. But in that moment, he didn't care. He saw arrogance dripping from the Empire's leaders, saw terror spreading through his own allies, and something in him snapped. He wasn't going to beg for peace. He wasn't going to wait for mercy. Humanity had been underestimated long enough. If the Empire wanted war, they would learn what it meant to fight humans on human terms. Marcus was no stranger to impossible fights. His service record was a trail of victories carved from disasters. He'd once held a mining colony with 30 volunteers against an invasion force of 3,000, using nothing but tunnels, explosives, and sheer stubbornness. Another time, he'd tricked an enemy cruiser into surrendering by faking a reactor meltdown and threatening to ram it. His crew followed him not because he was safe, but because somehow, against logic and odds, he always won. And when he declared humanity would bring the war, his crew knew exactly what that meant. The alien empire, called the Veyrak Dominion, had ruled for centuries. They controlled hundreds of systems, enslaved billions, and crushed rebellions without mercy. To them, humanity was nothing more than a minor frontier species. But the moment Marcus's words spread across broadcasts, the Dominion's arrogance turned to fury. They mobilized fleets, declaring Earth an enemy of the Empire. To Marcus, this was perfect. "They think they're coming to scare us," he told his crew aboard the warship Resolute. "But we're going to scare them first." The Resolute wasn't much compared to Dominion ship. Its hull rattled with every jump, its cannons were outdated, and half its systems required Malik the engineer to kick just to function. Rosa, the medic, joked that duct tape was the true captain of the ship. Juno, the pilot, swore she could fly it like a stolen car, reckless and fast. Reyes, his second in command, rolled her eyes at all of them but kept the crew sharp and disciplined. They were misfits, patched together like their ship, but together they were something more, dangerous. Their first mission after Marcus's declaration was to strike a Dominion supply line near the colony world of Threk. The Council wanted him to retreat, to regroup, to hide Earth behind defenses. Marcus ignored them. "If we wait," he told Reyes, "they'll strangle us slowly. If we strike first, we make them bleed." She glared at him. "You've just declared war on an empire that's never lost." He grinned. "Then we'll be there first." The ambush was audacious. The Resolute disguised itself as a crippled freighter, broadcasting distress signals. Dominion patrol ships approached cautiously, scanners probing. That was when Marcus gave the order. The freighter shed its disguise panels, cannons roaring to life. Juno dove between enemy ships, Malik overloaded weapons far past safety limits, Rosa patched the wounded as panels exploded, and Reyes barked orders through the chaos. Within minutes, the supply ships were in flames, and the Resolute limped away battered but victorious. The victory was small, but its impact was massive. Across Earth and its colonies, people replayed the footage of Marcus's words, "We'll bring the war," and the image of Dominion ships burning. Fear turned into resolve. Volunteers flooded enlistment stations. Engineers retrofitted freighters into gunship. Civilians shouted the line in streets and painted it across walls. For the first time, humanity wasn't waiting to be conquered. It was on the offensive. But Marcus knew what was coming. The Dominion would not let this insult stand. They would send fleets, firepower Earth could barely comprehend. Humanity's survival depended on turning the galaxy against the Empire. He told his crew, every battle we fight, every ship we burn, every prisoner we free, it's not just for us. It's to show the galaxy the Dominion can bleed. Once they see that, they'll rise too. Reyes pulled him aside after the meeting, her voice sharp. You've started something we can't control. Do you understand that? If we fail, Earth burns. Marcus stared at her, eyes steady. If we don't try, Earth burns anyway. At least this way, we get to choose how. That night, as the Resolute drifted through the stars, Marcus stood at the viewport, staring at Earth glowing blue in the distance. He repeated the words quietly to himself, not as bravado but as a vow. We'll bring the war. And somewhere across the galaxy, in the throne room of the Dominion, the Emperor replayed that moment with a snarl. His generals urged caution, but his pride demanded blood. Orders spread to every fleet, erase the humans. The line had been drawn. The sentence had been spoken. And the war humanity never wanted had truly begun. The Dominion fleets moved like a tide across the stars, hunting for the humans who had dared to speak those words. Whole sectors locked down, patrols doubled, propaganda blasted across conquered worlds. Humanity would be erased. But the Resolute, battered and patched, slipped through their nets like a shadow. Marcus Hale had no intention of waiting for Earth to be cornered. If they wanted war, he would take it to them before they knew what hit them. On board, the crew patched wounds and traded nervous jokes. Malik, covered in grease and burns, swore the reactor was actively trying to kill him. Rosa shoved another cup of stimulants into his hand. Drink, then swear later. Juno leaned back in her chair, piloting with one hand, humming off-key, while Reyes stood stiff as a blade at Marcus's side. You've turned us into criminals, you know, she muttered. Heroes, Marcus corrected. Criminals in one empire, heroes in the galaxy. You'd be amazed how thin the line is. She glared at him, but the corner of her mouth twitched. Their next target was insane even by Marcus's standards, a Dominion munitions foundry orbiting a gas giant. Churned out weapons for entire fleets. Striking it meant cutting the Empire's claws. Reyes objected. Malik called it lunacy. Juno grinned and asked if she could name the explosion after herself. Marcus smirked. See, that's the spirit. The approach was suicide. Enemy pickets scanned every entry point, drones swarmed the skies, cannons lined the foundry. Marcus disguised the Resolute as a garbage hauler, drifting close under the cover of waste pods. At the last second, the pods ejected, each packed with explosives Malik had welded together from spare parts. The blast ripped open the outer ring of defenses, chaos erupting as alarms screamed. The Resolute charged, cannons blazing. Inside the foundry, Reyes led a boarding team, Rosa patching soldiers mid-fight as they stormed corridors. Juno piloted like a madwoman, skimming hull plating so close sparks rained. Malik rerouted every ounce of power into weapons, shouting curses at consoles. Marcus charged at the front, rifle in hand, grinning through the chaos. Within an hour, the foundry was in flames, ammunition stocks exploding in waves so bright they lit the gas giant below. The escape was narrow. Enemy cruisers swarmed, firing wildly, but the Resolute dove through debris fields, engines shrieking, hull cracking. They barely limped into hyperspace, the foundry behind them burning. The galaxy noticed. On enslaved worlds, people whispered Marcus's words, "We'll bring the war." Riots spread. Rebels raised flags. The Dominion declared him the most wanted man alive. Posters branded him a terrorist. To the oppressed, he was a legend. But Marcus knew the cost. As he stood at the viewport, smoke filling the ship, he muttered, "We've lit the fire. Now we have to keep it burning." The Dominion's retaliation was swift. Fleets swept through human colonies, glassing outposts, enslaving survivors. Broadcasts of suffering spread across Earth, meant to terrify. Instead, they fueled rage. Volunteers poured into military ranks, factories worked night and day, engineers rebuilt relics into war machines. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival, it was fighting for revenge. The Resolute became a symbol, a phantom that struck and vanished. Marcus orchestrated raids on convoys, liberated prison ships, sabotaged fleet yards. Each victory, no matter how small, sent shockwaves across the empire. Each strike made Marcus more dangerous. Reyes grew sharper, Rosa colder, Malik more unhinged, Juno more reckless. They were stretched thin, exhausted, but unbroken. Their boldest move yet came at the Archon Relay, a communications hub linking half the empire. Destroying it would blind the Dominion. Marcus studied the schematics, his grin sharp. Cut the tongue and the beast can't roar. The plan: infiltrate disguised as Dominion technicians, plant charges and detonate. Simple. Deadly. Perfect. The mission went sideways instantly. Dominion officers recognized the crew's human features. Alarms screamed. Soldiers flooded corridors. Marcus and Reyes fought back to back, rifles spitting fire. Malik rigged charges with shaking hands. Rosa dragged the wounded, shouting over explosions. Juno screamed over comms as she dodged incoming fire to dock the Resolute. They barely made it back aboard before the charges blew, the entire relay engulfed in fire. The galaxy erupted. Entire sectors plunged into chaos without communication. Dominion fleets stumbled, coordination shattered. Rebellions spread like wildfire. And the chant grew louder, "We'll bring the war." But the Dominion Emperor was furious. His fleets converged on Earth itself. "No more games," he declared. "Erase humanity from the stars." The greatest armada in galactic history began its march toward the Sol system. Earth braced for annihilation. Fleets of retrofitted ships filled orbit. Railguns bristled from stations. Civilians dug bunkers. The chant of "We'll bring the war" thundered across the planet, painted on rooftops, shouted in street. The Resolute returned, scarred but unyielding, to lead the defense. Reyes coordinated strategies, Rosa stockpiled supplies, Malik cursed as he welded engines together, Juno painted "War Bringers" across the ship's hull. Marcus stood on the bridge, calm as ever, eyes locked on the stars. "They're coming," Reyes whispered. "Good," Marcus said. "Saves us the trip." The armada arrived, blotting out the sun with ships. The sky rained fire as plasma cannons burned atmosphere. Earth's defenses roared back, crude but ferocious. Improvised fleets dove into the storm, sacrificing themselves to tear holes in enemy lines. The battle was chaos, cities trembling, oceans boiling, skies aflame. The Resolute cut through the fray, weaving between dreadnoughts, cannons blazing. Marcus barked orders like a conductor of madness. Reyes unleashed precision strikes. Rosa dragged the dying back from death. Malik rerouted power until consoles caught fire. Juno laughed wildly as she dove through impossible gaps. But the Empire pressed harder. The Emperor's flagship loomed, a titan of war. Its cannons shattered orbital defenses, its shields impenetrable. "We can't win this," Reyes hissed. Marcus grinned. "Not by fighting fair." He ordered a suicide run. The Resolute dove at the flagship, weaving through fire, its hull breaking apart. Malik screamed, "We won't make it!" Marcus's voice cut through steady. "We don't need to. We just need one shot." At point-blank range they unleashed everything: missiles, torpedoes, overcharged cannons. The flagship shuddered, its shields cracking, its engines exploding. The Emperor's image flickered, his roar of rage cut short. The battlefield froze. For the first time in a millennium, the Empire bled. The flagship's destruction rippled across the galaxy. Dominion fleets faltered. Soldiers hesitated. Mutinies erupted. Rebellions blazed brighter than ever. Humanity had done the unthinkable, brought the war to the Empire's heart. But Earth still burned. Cities lay in ruins, fleets shattered, millions dead. Rosa worked day and night, her hands raw, her voice gone. Malik collapsed from exhaustion, only to wake and keep working. Juno piloted until she fell asleep at the helm. Reyes kept discipline, her steel cracking in private. Marcus never stopped smiling, even with blood running down his face. "We made them bleed," he whispered. "Now we make them fall." Their target: the Dominion relay world of Xyrath, the command nexus of the Empire. Destroying it would collapse their war machine entirely. The Resolute limped forward, carrying what remained of humanity's fury. The battle was savage. Fleets clashed in waves, planets trembled, space itself lit with fire. The Resolute punched through, battered, burning, unstoppable. On the ground, Marcus led the charge, Reyes at his side, Rosa patching soldiers as they fell, Malik carrying explosives on his back, Juno blasting cannons into the sky. They reached the Nexus core, planted charges, and held the line as waves of Dominion troops crashed against them. Marcus fought like a man possessed, laughing through the blood. "This is what you asked for," he roared. "You wanted war, we brought it." The charges detonated. The Nexus shattered. The Dominion collapsed. The Empire's fall was not quiet. Worlds tore free, rebellions toppled governors, fleets abandoned their posts. The Emperor vanished into myth, his throne empty. The Dominion that had ruled for centuries crumbled in months. And at the center of it all was one sentence, spoken by one human: "We'll bring the war." Earth rebuilt from ashes. Cities rose again. Ships were forged stronger. Humanity was no longer a backwater species. It was a power forged in fire. The Resolute, scarred and battered, became a legend. Children played at being its crew. Colonies named streets after Marcus, Reyes, Rosa, Malik, Juno. The chant of "We'll bring the war" became humanity's warning to the galaxy. Marcus stood on Earth's balcony, staring at the stars. Reyes joined him, her uniform neat, her face tired but proud. "We won," she said softly. He smirked. "No. We taught them. There's a difference." She frowned. "And if another empire rises?" He grinned, toothpick between his teeth. "Then we'll remind them. We'll bring the war again." The galaxy trembled, but Earth stood unbroken. The line had been crossed. Humanity had answered. And the stars would never forget the sentence that changed everything.